Namaste. Welcome back to the week 7th of Conflict Management through Mediation course. In this week, we have discussed with respect to other legislations on mediation. Again, we also discussed with respect to online dispute resolution in India, its legal sanctity, and online dispute resolution policy developed by Niti Aayog. In today's session, we will be discussing on online mediation. As we have already defined what we mean by online dispute resolution, that is, online dispute resolution means use of technology in resolving of disputes in an online mode. Similarly, online mediation is use of information and communication tools for resolution of dispute in an online mode. We call it as online mediation. So the picture over here depicts like how they have been discussing in an online mode. So one is sitting on its desktop, one is using laptop, another using a tab and discussing on an online mode. So they are basically using information and communication tools for conveying the information from one person to another person. So basically the information and communication tools will be the fourth pillar of an online mediation, wherein usually whenever we have a dispute, so basically there will be two necessary parties for such disputes, and there will be a neutral third party who will be assisting the parties to resolve the dispute in an online, in a physical mediation. Because in a physical mediation, whenever there is a dispute, there will be two parties and a third neutral party called mediator who will be assisting that parties to resolve their disputes. Whereas in online mediation, the information and communication tools will be assisting these three parties for resolution of dispute, and that is where we call it as the fourth pillar. So that is how information and communication tools are helping the parties and mediator for resolution of a dispute in an online mediation. So there are key difference between the mediation and online mediation are as follows. So in case of physical mediation, whenever there is a dispute between the two parties, so that both the parties choose a place wherein all the three, that is the parties to the dispute and the mediator, sit together and discuss. So basically that we call it as the place where the discussion take place. So that sometimes happens in mediation centers as well. So the physical environment will be created to discuss the dispute and resolve in a physical mediation. Whereas in case of online mediation, so the parties meet in a virtual world. So they need not require to come sit at one place, discuss the dispute as like that of a physical mediation. So basically the online mediation is the party may sit at his home, or he may at his home or at his office, or he may at any different jurisdiction. Like we explained an example, like he may be in other country as well. So that is what the benefit of online mediation is, because the discussion take place in a virtual place, and wherever the party, he may sit at his home, office, or anywhere. He may be in different country and resolve the dispute. So the communication take place through information and communication tools. The presence, that is what? In physical mediation, the presence of parties is must in every setting. The parties has to come to the mediation center or the place where they have decided to sit and discuss the matter. The physical presence of all the parties is must in case of physical mediation. Whereas even in case of e-mediation, that is online mediation, so the parties meet in a virtual mode, that is on an online platforms or through online platforms. They meet through online platforms. So there is no necessity of physical presence of all the parties at one place. So the techniques for communication in case of physical mediation, it take place face to face because the party meet at one place and they discuss. Face to face they discuss and communicate between themselves for the resolution of disputes. Whereas in case of online mediation, the disputes or the communication take place in an online mode, that is via email, via video conferencing, audio conferencing, text messages, or any other thing. So the communication take place in an online mode, in an online mediation or an e-mediation. Whereas in case of physical mediation, the parties meet together at one place and discuss face to face. In case of physical mediation, where the parties sit together, discuss on face to face, there will be the communication through mouth. And that type of communication, we call it as a verbal communication. And even sometimes there will be emotions. So emotions, the face readings, the body language, that all comes within the ambit of non-verbal communication, or such the communication which is made through emotions, the body language, that we call it as non-verbal communication. The importance of verbal communication, the non-verbal communication in a physical mediation are been discussed in the previous sessions of this course. Whereas in case of online mediation, it is very difficult. Like the communication will be in a language mode, like in a text based, there won't be any face, there won't be any presence of parties, there won't be any, like the in the text based, I'm speaking about text based, there won't be any face, or the non-verbal communications won't take place in an online mediation when it is a text based. When it is a video conferencing mode, some emotions are being captured, but some may not, because the placement of camera plays a very vital role. And that is where, in most of the circumstances, in an online mediation, it will be the communication will be like language or vocabulary. It will be speaking, like it will be most of the times, it will be audio conversations, and it is very difficult to capture emotions, body language in an online mediation. So this is a challenge for a mediator, because non-verbal communication, whenever there is angerness or fearness among the parties, or sometimes the in a physical mediation, the party shows their emotions, and those emotions will be captured by the mediator, and they request the parties to calm down and under circumstances. So this is where the importance of non-verbal communication will play into picture. But it is very difficult in case of online mediation. So with this, there is another importance which I was speaking earlier in case of online mediation, that the parties may be in different countries or different cities. In that circumstances also, the parties can sit in their own country, can sit there in their own cities and communicate through virtual space, that is through emails, WhatsApps, messaging tools, video conferencing tool, and resolve the dispute. So here I have graphically represented the way how the parties who are sitting in different places or different countries resolve their disputes. In fact, the parties are from different continent also. So one person who is sitting in US, that is party 1, a resident of US, and a party 2, a resident of India, who were running a business, when the dispute was arised between them, on a mutual consent of both these parties, a mediator was been appointed, and they can use the tools like the information and communication tools like emails, video conferencing, audio conferencing, desktops, mobile phones, text based. So they all use, and wherein the third party, that is mediator, will play a role of facilitator and provide a virtual space to negotiate the parties among themselves and reach at a settlement agreement. So we discussed how the online agreement or the electronic agreement will be held as valid. Even in this case also, in case of online mediation, if the parties sign through electronic signatures on the settlement agreement, that agreement will be binding. So this is just an example for you to understand how the online mediation will take place. So the use of technology, computer, mobile devices, telephone, etc., and the software to support the mediator and the parties in the following actions. So basically, this technology in an online mediation helps the mediator and the parties to organize the information and send messages. It is automatic messages because I have used the term automatic message is because sometimes the softwares that are being developed in the present arena are like they are sending the automatic messages even with the help of artificial intelligence, wherein the mediator, it helps the mediator whenever the parties who are in emotions and are eager, like they may, the language which they speaks may hinder the process of mediation, wherein with the help of alternate artificial intelligence, the language may, we may make it smoother. Even drafting the written communications helps the blocking of rough language, video and conferencing. In case of both videos and conferencing, drafting the agreement, so it is very useful. The software can monitor the meetings, start, duration, clarification of interest and priorities of the parties. The it should the depending on the development of parameters, the parameters will be developed wherein the software monitors the meeting, the start durations, the clarification of interest and the priorities of the parties, like what on what basis the parties are interested, how much they are interested, what are the parameters of such priorities and interest of the parties will be recognized by such software, and provide the basic idea to the mediator, like in which directions he should go while resolving the dispute. This is how the software or the technology has been developed in the present arena for resolution of dispute. So the basic essential equipments for conducting the online mediation in a virtual space is like the parties or the mediator should have at least a mobile phone, a smartphone which has a strong internet connections with the text-based software or a video conferencing software to conduct the online mediation. But there are other devices like mobile phone, tablets, desktops, laptops. Having microphone and camera facilities is must to conduct online mediation. So the devices should have a microphone and a camera. So these are the basic necessities of the device. Along with these devices, we should have a strong secure internet connection which should provide the connection between the two parties and a mediator. So the information and communication tools without an internet facility, it cannot be helpful. So because the information and communication tools which we have is based on the internet connection, and the strongest the internet connection we have, there will be smoother the communication take place in a virtual world. The strongest we have the internet connection, the video conferencing and the text-based software will run smoothly in an online mediation. So there are various secured video conferencing tools that are available. Again, it is up to the mediator, it is up to the parties which tool they want to use. With the era of COVID-19, wherein because of the pandemic, everyone is aware of the video conferencing tools, because most of the educational institutions started using the information and communication tools for holding the online classes during the pandemic where the country was shut down, like Zoom, Skype, Google Meet. These were the some of the tools which were used for video conferencing mode. And the strongest the secured video conferencing mode we have, the trust of the consumers or the parties will build to come on the online platform for resolution of a dispute. So there are various other text-based software for online mediation were being developed across the globe. And one example for it, we have a Modria software. So Moderate software, it provides a text-based communication between the parties, wherein the platform is built in such a way that the parties can even have caucus sessions, that we call it as a private sessions, and even the software also provides for joint discussion on the same platform itself. But the thing is, like, whenever we choose the video conferencing mode for the purpose of online mediation, like these tools, like the video conferencing tool should have a waiting and breakout room facility. The purpose of waiting room and the breakout facility is to conduct joint sessions and to conduct private sessions on an online mode. So that is very much necessary. That is, the feature of waiting room and breakout room is must for conducting video conferencing mediation in an online mode. Along with these basic tools, whenever we are conducting a mediation in an online mode, we should follow some ground rules for conducting of the online mediation. The confidentiality. As we all know, mediation, the basic principle of a mediation is a confidentiality, because whatever that has been discussed in mediation, that cannot be used as a witness before any court of law. Even same it is followed in an online mediation also. But whenever we are thinking like it is an online mediation, the basic important is to secure the online mediation is because the parties provide lot of information to the software that has been developed for conduction of an online mediation. Under that circumstances, the basic necessity, because we are providing lot of information to the software or to the website which conducts online mediation, so that is secured and preserves the privacy and data of the parties, even of a mediator. So the privacy plays a very vital role for and the protection of privacy and data protection will provide more trust to the parties. In India, presently we have Information and Communication Information Act of 2000, which protects the privacy and data protection to some extent. But still in India, the upcoming we have like privacy and data protection bill which is pending before the parliament. If once it passes, then this online preservation of data and privacy will be strengthened and building more trust among all the parties that can take place. So the privacy is one of the important factor which the mediator is required to take place while conducting online mediation, how the data is required to be stored, how it is required to be deleted, how it has been preserved, the security for preserving of such data is required to be adhered with respect to privacy, and even the mediator is required to disclose the privacy policy to the before we start online mediation. Even non-recording, the parties in case of physical mediation also are not allowed to record the sessions of mediation. Even the mediator is also not required not to record, and is only required to just take the notes, and that note should also be destroyed after the mediation is been completed. So there is no recording at all. Even the in a case of online mediation, the software that we develop or the software should develop in such a way that the parties cannot screen record it. Even there are certain challenges like the party can use some different cameras and can record the session, but it's a challenge in an online mediation. So if at all such circumstances appear, the role of mediator plays a very vital role, wherein the party, because it's being in a video conferencing sessions, the mediator can ask the party to turn across the camera, whether if there is any presence of any camera and such like devices. So that can take place where the mediator can, to build a trust among the parties, the mediator can ask for such things. But under certain circumstances, the mediator is required to be well planned because there might be certain possible interruptions because internet connection doesn't stay at an same level, and during certain circumstances there may be some certain technical glitches as well. Even under certain circumstances there might be certain interruptions from the other third party. When I say for, because most of the online mediation the parties may be sitting at home or there might be in office, the third party may interrupt the sessions. So under that circumstance the mediator is required to be well planned and avoid the possible interruptions. He may request the parties like to be in a place where there won't be any interruptions. He may request the parties to have well checked before the online mediation commence with respect to the internet connections which they have. In case of joint meetings and micro, so there are certain another ground rules is like the interruptions which take place in an online mode. That is the whenever we are having a joint discussion in an online mediation, the microphones of the parties are required to be mute. The other parties who is not speaking, their microphones are required to be on a mute mode because it may create certain interruption while discussing between the parties. Even that ground rules is required to be disclosed by the mediator before he commences a mediation. Managing communication, the role of mediator plays a very vital role with respect to managing of communication. Like one person when speaking, the other is required to be quiet or he is required to be on a mute mode. Even sometimes what happens, because being mediation being a voluntary process, In an online mediation, when a party one is speaking and mediator is hearing to that party, the other party may fear that like the mediator is bit lenient or he is biased on a one party. So under that circumstance, there might certain situation may arise that the mediation may fail. So the mediator has to be very articulate while managing the communication. If such circumstances things, then the party may like stop the one party and then request the other party to speak, or he may facilitate the negotiation between the parties in such a way that he may provide more lenient toward the parties centric process in an online mediation where the negotiation shall take place between both the parties for the resolution of dispute. So that is the importance how the communication or how the mediator manage the communication between the parties. So in online mediation, the ground rule in physical mediation is to avoid the phones. Even in case of online mediation, we should, like the parties should avoid using the phones. And for the purpose of functioning and the process, the mediator should disclose all the process how the online mediation will take place beforehand, so that the functioning of the online mediation take place in a smooth manner without any technical glitch. So these are the ground rules wherein the mediator is required to disclose before the online mediation commences. And with these ground rules, there will be, if at all everything goes well in an online mediation, it is very beneficial for the parties to resolve the dispute in a speedier manner and even at an affordable price, because the party need not require to pay for traveling charges which they do in a physical mediation. So with this, there is a one recognized mediation center which was developed at National Law School of India University, that we call it as Online Consumer Mediation Center, and it was recognized by Department of Justice. And with respect to this Online Consumer Mediation Center, already Sir Professor Ashokar Patil, who was the director of Online Consumer Mediation Center earlier, he has already discussed with respect to the basic aspect of Online Consumer Mediation Center, like how it was developed, how it was discussed. So this Online Consumer Mediation Center was established at National Law School of India University in the year of 2016, established by Ministry of Consumer Affairs to resolve e-commerce disputes. Basically, this was a pilot project for the year of 2016 to 2019, inaugurated by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Honorable Shri Ram Vilas Paswan ji, inaugurated this Online Consumer Mediation Center. So, this was the mediation center which was a pilot project under the aegis of Ministry of Consumer Affairs. And the object of this Online Consumer Mediation Center is to provide access to justice to the consumers to resolve the e-commerce dispute. Basically, e-disputes, what we call it as, in an e-consumer disputes in an online mediation. So this website was developed, and the website was titled was www.onlinemediationcenter.ac.in. If any person reaches to this website, and this was the landing page of that website wherein it was required, like this was the landing page, and this is the screenshot of that landing page, wherein all the information was provided on this website with respect to what online mediation, what are the services that was been provided by online mediation, what was the ground rules and code of conduct which was adhered by the Online Consumer Mediation Center. So basically, the rules and the code of conduct which are applicable to physical mediation, and those all which are discussed in the previous sessions, are applicable for online mediation, and those all rules and code of conduct was also adhered by the Online Consumer Mediation Center established at National Law School. And basically, both types of cases, that is the pending cases I mean those which are pending before the courts, like the consumer commission were also been dealt with this online consumer mediation. Even a consumer who has not yet filed any case before the consumer commission, even he also was provided to file a complaint with this online consumer mediation center, but it was limited to the extent of e-disputes, that is e-consumer disputes, any dispute which are arising against the e-commerce companies. Even the facility was provided for physical mediation as well before this online consumer mediation center. So in this session, as this session is related to online mediation, we will stick basic to the online mediation and the flow of how the online mediation was conducted. So basically, any person who wants to file a complaint, either it may be pending case or pending case before the consumer commission, or either it may be a new complaint against the e-commerce companies, the person was required to register with the online consumer mediation center. He was required to sign up by using his email ID and providing the basic information as to name of the party who is filing the complaint or name of the consumer, mobile number, place of residence, and even he was required to upload a identity proof. So that national identity proof was required to be uploaded so as to recognize, so as to have some sanctity of the complaint. So with that, the person is required to register. Once he registers, then there will be a verification email used to send to the email ID which has been provided by the consumer, wherein the OTP verification was provided. Once he registered with the complaint, then he was required, if he wants to file a complaint with the online consumer mediation center, he was required to pay a minimal amount of rupees 100 to file a complaint. And once he made the payment, then he was required to give more details about the case against which company he is required to file a complaint, the name of the company he was required to select from the list which was been provided by the online consumer mediation center. Once he chooses the company, then he was required to also provide the receipt number for the grievances which he is raising. So for raising a grievances, he has to purchase some product from any e-commerce company. The e-commerce company will provide the receipt, and that receipt number he is required to provide it on that portal. Once he provide that, then he will be provided with a chat box wherein he was required to explain what the case is about. And even he was required to upload the evidences relating to that case, whether it is whether this grievance is related to deficiency in service by the e-commerce portal, refund of amount, defect in good, non-return of product, or any grievances related to e-commerce. So that also he was required to select and provide the detailed information. So with this information, he was required to submit by providing all the details. Once he click on the submit, an automatic email will be generated wherein it was reaching to the online consumer mediation center's staff. The staff used to scrutinize the complaint, and then he was either reject the case or either accept the case. Once the online consumer mediation center has accept the case, the automatic mail used to be generated to the opposite party or the e-commerce companies. The e-commerce company and the party were initially provided to discuss among themselves, negotiate among themselves on the platform, and resolve the dispute. In case if they failure to negotiate, the parties may also opt for a mediator, and then the party choose to appoint a mediator empaneled with the center to resolve the dispute, or either they may request the online consumer mediation center to appoint a mediator for their dispute. And thereafter the negotiation, the mediator used to provide a facility to negotiate among the parties and resolve their dispute. And on reaching a settlement, the parties sign up a settlement agreement provided by the online portal. And this is how the online consumer mediation center used to resolve the disputes in an online mode. So there are certain videos which are uploaded on YouTube with respect to an introductory video clipping about the online consumer mediation center, and this is the link wherein you can visit using this link and browse. Even as a part of ADR course under Dr. Professor Ashokar Patil, we conducted an online mediation through NLSIU student, wherein you can watch that online mediation. So basically, online mediation was conducted as a part of ADR course through NLSIU student, recorded in the year of 2022, and that has been uploaded on an YouTube channel of Chair on Consumer Law and Practice. So you can watch that as well. So what all are the practical mediation skills are required to conduct online mediation? So basically, as in case of general mediation or a physical mediation, wherein the mediator is required to adhere to the ethical obligations, the principle of neutrality, he cannot be biased, that the mediator should not be biased, awareness of the potential biases, like he should be like the mediator is required to be conscious and unconscious about how the potential bias may develop. He is required to be confidential. In a similar manner, the e-mediator, that is in an online mediation, the mediator is required to follow all these rules or the general skills that are applicable in physical mediation also. Whereas in case of coming to the specific aspect of online mediation, the skills related to technology are required to be adhered or required to be literated by both the parties, even the mediator. The mediator and both the parties is required to have a basic computer skills and even required to have or know the features, the operations, the troubleshooting part of the information and communication tools or the platforms. Like with respect to Zoom, the person is required to know how the Zoom will operate, what are the features of Zoom, how to have breakout rooms, how to shift from waiting room, how should admit the parties from the waiting room to the room. So these all features the mediator, even the parties, is required to know to conduct the online mediation efficiently and in a smooth manner. Even he is required to know have the technical knowledge about the technical equipments which we have, and he should use all the efficient technical skills or technical equipments that are available with him for the smooth conduct. Say for example, whenever there is a non-synchronous type of communication, because we have already discussed what is meant by non-synchronous type of communication. So whenever there is a non-synchronous type of communication, so there is a chance to make the rough language in a smooth manner while communicating to the one from one party to the mediator to the other party, wherein mediator plays a very vital role to make such rough languages into smooth language, which can provide more advantage for resolution of dispute. So those types of tools is required, like when we should go for video conferencing, when we should go for text based communication. So those all mediation skills are required to be adhered by the mediator. Even the party should also know about the advantages of these technical equipments that are available. Even convey clear and effective message in verbal and non-verbal communications. These tools are very much useful while using persons from different countries or from different zones. But the importance of this online mediation is where the mediator sets the time zones which are familiar even if the parties are from different countries, different regions. Even the mediator is required, as I have already discussed while discussing the ground rules with respect to privacy, like how the digital information is being stored. So those all things are required to be adhered. These all basic requirements are required to be trained. The mediator is required to gain such knowledge about the skills that are required to handle the technology. The skill related to mediation process, like assessing the suitability of dispute or disputants, like who all are, like there are certain circumstances wherein the parties are illiterate, they don't know about technology. Such disputes cannot be resolved through the online mediation because they won't, because they being their illiteracy, they are not with relation to the technological aspects, they won't trust the online mediation. So basically, while the mediator is required to choose the disputants who are having some basic technical knowledge, wherein even he can train the parties to come on to the online mediation, but at least they should have certain basic technology, the facilities that are required for online mediation. Such disputants he should select. Such a dispute is also required to be looked after, or the scrutinize the disputes which can be settled through online mediation, wherein the parties who are cooperative in nature, such disputes or such parties may be helpful for online mediation. Even we should also look after the impact of the use of information communication tools, like as I was already telling with respect to in what circumstances we should go for text based, in what circumstances we should go for video conferencing. So those things the mediator is required to use. These types of skills will promote more advantage for the parties to resolve their dispute in an online mode. So different level of readiness of the parties and special cost or fees that are associated for resolution of dispute, because whenever we are using the information and communication tools, the mediator is required to pay the amount for hiring such platforms or for developing such platforms. So he may cost. Even the parties are required to pay for such platforms as well. So those all things are required to take care before conducting an online mediation skills. And these are the practical skills which are required for a mediator to resolve the dispute in an online mode. So with these basic tools, even the mediator is required to be cautious under different circumstances. So, deciding on the best online process that meets the needs of the parties, monitoring the parties' perception and attitudes towards e-mediation, because under certain circumstances the party may not have more trust on the online mediation, and the mediator is required to build the trust and the perception of the parties towards the online mediation. Should be aware about the different features of information communication platforms, their corresponding advantages and constant to be able to discern which feature to use in which context. Understanding and dealing with technological impact in power imbalance, like where there are certain circumstances wherein one party may have like the internet speeds imbalance due to computer power, and even there are certain technical glitches that may arise during the process of mediation. There are certain circumstances wherein whenever there is a text based, the one party may have like the typing speed of the parties may also depends, and these all are the technical aspects wherein parties, even the mediator is required to understand and cooperate among each others for resolution of dispute. Self-awareness to avoid becoming biased is also one of the important tool, wherein the parties sometimes feel that the mediator may be biased, because whenever in an online mode there are certain circumstances which may arise in case of video conferencing or in case of text based, like the parties may not have trust on the mediator, like the mediator might be chatting privately in and with the other party. That circumstances may arise in case of in the minds of the other party. So that may happen. So the mediator is required to be self-aware about these circumstances which may come forth, even though he may be fair enough, he may be working fair enough, but the thing is like the human mind is developed in such a way that under circumstances he may fear about being biased, like the mediator being biased about that. Taking advantage of the change of communication type provided by the online dispute resolution, like shifting from video conferencing to text based, like that type of thing. So all these things are required to be cautiously used by the mediator for resolution of dispute. Is hereby again there are a lot of tools which provides the facilitates or negotiation process in an efficient manner, the use of technology, the use of, or the parties are required to use such communication tools in such a way that wherein the mediator should also already, whenever he is opening the statement, he should provide the information with relation to all types of features that are available with the information communication tools, how to use that, how to use the platform for negotiating. So those all information should be provided by the mediator, and cautiously he should provide. Even the mediator is required to be active listening, because in case of online mediation, even we all have witnessed while delivering the online classes or while conducting, because the students, whether the students are active or the parties are active or not while discussing, so those all things will play into picture while in an online mediation. Ensuring the impartiality, e-mediator's conduct is always professional, he should be always professional, and manage the continuation and termination of the e-mediation, like such sometimes whenever the parties are addressing to themselves, or whenever any third party interrupt whenever there is a failure of technical features because of technology glitches, or if there is any internet interruption, so those all things may happen. So the mediator is required to cautiously manage such situation and take further the discussion and resolve the dispute. Understand how to translate the face-to-face mediation techniques into an online environment. So the mediator, whenever he is discussing, say for example, the physical mediation is going on and the parties are like they are not affordable to travel at every time. Even there are certain circumstances which may arose, like there is one example which I given while discussing the basic concept of online dispute resolution, that is with respect whenever one party is been admitted in the hospital, even such certain circumstances which may appear, and the mediator can even like, because of such circumstances the mediation process has been delayed, or the parties are not afford to travel from one place to another place. Under that circumstances, the mediation, during the physical mediation also, the through mediator or the parties consent, the mediator can take place in an online environment, or the shifting from physical mediation to online mediation, the mediator has a very vital role while shifting or cautiously deal with the parties to shift from the physical mediation to online mediation. So these are the cautious which are required to take by the mediator, and these all principles, if a mediator, the parties adheres, then the mediation will take place smoothly and which can resolve the disputes in a speedier manner. So with this thing, once the mediation takes place, then the parties will reach to an amicable settlement. On reaching to an amicable settlement, the parties can draw an agreement with the informed consent. Even they may request the mediator to draw a settlement agreement, and the signing of such settlement agreement can take place in an online mode. But under that circumstances, the mediator is required to ensure that the parties has given their informed consent for such settlement, and ensure that the agreement addresses the issues, the interest and rights as identified throughout the process of mediation. And even The mediator is required to be cautious with respect to the post-mediation process as to the enforceability of such agreement by encouraging the parties to such settlement, wherein while drawing the settlement agreement itself, the mediator's role is very vital, and with respect to that, how the settlement agreement is required to be drawn, how we should include the terms of settlement of agreement, those all things are discussed in the next session, that is session week 8 of this conflict management course. And once the settlement agreement has been passed, the party or the mediator may require the parties to take the feedback about their experiences, which can be helpful for developing the mediator and for developing the software for online mediation. So if at all these terms, all these skills are being adhered by the mediator, the privacy, the data protection thing are required to be adhered as per the governing laws of the jurisdiction. And if all these are taken care, the online mediation will be very fruitful for the parties for resolution of a dispute in an online mode at an affordable price, at an efficient, time saving for a resolution of dispute, which provides more access to justice, which is the fundamental right of every citizen guaranteed under Article 21 of Indian Constitution. With this, I conclude the lecture on online mediation and online dispute resolution, which is included in week 7 of this course. Thank you.